All right. What is happening, fellow van builders? It's Scott. Welcome back to the channel. And I am still coming off of and my wife is too, I think my kids and my future son-in-law coming off of a high. We got in the car, I don't know, it was middle of July, like on a Thursday. Jumped in the van, and it's not done. The van's not done. But it kind of goes down this path of get out in it, see whether or not like your configuration is what you want it to be, and feel it out and determine if what you're doing is making sense. So we did just that. And not only that, there was a need because my daughter, my oldest, and my middle girl's future husband, fiance, they signed up for a 30K up at Jackson Hole Ski Resort. So I'm in Texas, I'm in North Dallas area, and talk about jumping in the car, my wife and I, and just bombing it north. On Thursday, a couple of weeks ago, we blew up all the way from, I think we left at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We blew all the way up to Colorado Springs. We were going to stay in Raton, blew past that, went up to Colorado Springs, which was great. And then from there, bombed all the way up to Jackson. And, it was just it was a wonderful trip. So the van itself served as sort of a 10 on wheels because it's not done. We took an ice chest. We took all the camping supplies because the kids were staying in tents. I say the kids, they're all adults. Staying in tents and heater buddies and all that stuff at elevation for up in Jackson. And then actually we didn't stay in tents in Jackson because everybody had accommodations. But up to Yellowstone from there after the race was done. And I'll cut in and show just a couple of maybe some beautiful shots here and there because it's spectacular country. That's super cool. Look at that bank. A lot going on here today.
We're on the cheer squad.
Cheer squad.
We're cheering them on.
For the big run. What's the name of this run?
The Cirque 30.
The Cirque 30. And there happens to be a yoga class going on. But there's the Cirque 30 folks going up the hill. Check out the observation station.
That breeze is
Not quite like the Grand Canyon, but pretty crazy.
Pretty stunning. Oh, the air.
I try not to diss on Texas, but I don't know why anybody lives in this state. It's beautiful up there, and hopefully one day we can enjoy living closer. So, full shakedown opportunity though for the van and for, some of the accessories that are tied to the van. And I thought what I would do for this video is just kind of take you through what I learned. Because I think I do buy into what I've seen all over the internet about get out in your van project and make a determination, are you on the right track? I actually think that paid dividends. In my case, it kind of confirmed where I had headed already in the configuration. For example, we spent very little time in the van other than sleeping. So for me to take a fixed bed, and change that out and turn it into a convertible sort of picnic bench in the back while, super inclement weather might support that, we were never in the van. So during the day, we're out doing stuff all the time, which is kind of the point. So a fixed bed in the back, queen bed, comfortable queen bed mattress is confirmed. It's perfect for us. I understand alternatives, but for us, it just it made perfect sense. I've got kind of a top list of things I learned on this trip, and I thought I'd just sort of take you through it. So, number one. Number one is actually super important because it speaks to how many miles can you do in a given day, and it really goes back to that first day, that like absolute death march we took from North Dallas all the way up to Colorado Springs, and that is Sprinter van seats for my body type. My wife didn't complain. For my body type, which I think is sort of average, suck. They aren't bolstered enough. They're flat and they spill over. When you put a 360 swivel on it under the seat, it raises the seat up a little bit. And the fact that you can't put your feet on the ground firmly as you did when it was original equipment may have something to do with all this, but I tend to think that the seat construction doesn't support an 8-hour day plus. Now, who's going to do an 8-hour day anyway? You really shouldn't be doing an 8-hour day anyway. And I would tell you, we did, first day was like 12 or 13 hours. But I can tell you that, experience of some long days in the seat, Sprinter seats for me, my body type, they're absolutely garbage. They seem like they should be good because they got a lot of, adjustability. They've got the armrests, you've got the rear crank, you can move things around. And the other thing too here is I've looked on the internet, a replacement seat, I mean, you're talking about, it's just stupid money. 2,500 bucks. You can go as high as $4,000. That's just, in this world we live in where, anyway, it's stupid money. I may just live with it, but I'm not happy with the seats. Last minute, just before we left, I put in 12 volt USB-C lit sort of receptacles, so I could charge iPhones, or we could charge whatever, drone, you could charge camera equipment, you could charge a camping radio, whatever it is. That was a bit of a godsend in the the sort of build state we're in. So I put 2 of those in, that worked great. I put in some lights, temporary lights, those work great. So there's one of the lights I put in. I'd wired everything last minute on my way out of town. There's another one of those lights. These proved to be invaluable. They got an on-off button, and you have a USB and a USB-C, and one on each side. And I got mosquitoes all over me, so I may be swinging at them here in a minute. And I'm just going down the list of the experiences that we had. So, the diesel heater that I put in under the passenger seat, that's another video on the channel. It works great. And we had no problems. That thing, depending on the temperature outside, at the lowest setting up in Yellowstone, and I think we were at 50 for the low, we were still a little warm, and we were cracking the bunk windows in the van to get a little bit of a temperature modulation. So that thing, I'm super pleased with that investment. It's it's from a low-cost country, let's put it that way, and works really, really, really well. Now on the way back, the one thing that occurred, and there'll be a cutaway so you can see a picture of this, is the rubber piece that holds the pump, the injector pump, that piece melted off the end. And so the injector pump fell almost I would say 6 inches off the ground. And we're driving on the way back in Texas. We're in North Texas, coming out of Abilene, let's say, bombing back down here 80 miles an hour. And we're hearing this clank, 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 clank. There's the problem. You know, that thing got so hot, it just split right there. And so I don't know if it was too close or if this unit itself got hot. I don't know. But it was just swinging around almost on the ground. And it would swing up and hit this, and it'd swing over here and hit this, and swing when we're driving. So I'm amazed this thing just didn't implode and come to pieces. But, you know, it's all right. Still hanging in there. Got to solve it. I got new parts here, and I'm going to, you know, probably adjust this and move it to a different spot. This thing was held on by the fuel lines and was swinging at the bottom of the van because the heat had gotten too much, I think, when we were in Yellowstone, because we used it all night long. And I had the proximity of that holder, that rubber holder, too close to the exhaust. So that was a lesson for me. It wasn't a catastrophic failure on the way back. It was just an obnoxious noise, and it's all solvable. So I've already ordered in the new rubber housing, and I'm going to place it in a different spot so it's not as close to the exhaust on the diesel heater as it was originally. But worked great, but I had a little bit of a failure there. Okay, next one. We because of the state of the van, not having a galley, you know, knew right up front that we're going to need to take a portable barbecue, which we did from Coleman. It worked beautifully. Made pancakes on that thing, made potatoes, and we made eggs and sausage. We made sausage on the fire. My daughter was cooking sausage on the fire. So, I mean, camp food is just so much fun. But anyway, so I have a equipment drawer on the back, right, that pulls all the way out like a lot of vans do. In that drawer is all the kitchen supplies, camping supplies, and because we wanted to take our e-bikes on another video on another channel, OG DIY, you'll see a one-up bike rack video. But anyway, that's the bike rack that I've got on the back of the Sprinter van. And, you know, with two e-bikes back there, and not a swing away hitch, right? It's just a extended hitch out, and because it's got to miss the spare tire that's on the back of the van. Every time that I need to get in the back of that van, this van, I need to take the bikes off, drop the one-up down slightly, and sort of shimmy around it in order to pull everything out and get to what I needed to get to. So it without question, this sort of setup needs a swing away hitch. So there's the other issue that ended up being a big pain in the butt in order to get into the back of the van, right? So open this up, barely clears, which is cool, clears. But the space between here and here for a human body to get back in there and get all the stuff you need, this is a huge pain in the legs, butt, whatever, depending on your size and who you are. So a swing out hitch is really important. By the way, this thing right here, Cody Technologies, that thing's super cool. And this is a really quality bike rack. And I've just acquired said hitch from Yakima. So I'm going to do a future video showing how I put that swing away hitch on this van. And it'll apply to any of our other vehicles, whether it be our Lexus LX, the Jeep, Wrangler. Certainly on this vehicle, it'll apply perfectly. So I'm hopeful that that functions well and solves that challenge, because in a Sprinter, in any van, Transit, Dodge Ram, you're pulling those doors open. A lot of people they've got this sort of rugged off-road sort of, the bikes are up on top of the equipment boxes and all that stuff. But these are, and I'm just going to say it, unless you're, 30 years or younger, it gets a little old pulling those 50-pound bikes off that very top level, right? They're a bit heavy. So I think I like our setup because it's easy to roll these bikes off the hitch. The e-bikes are a blast. I recommend them for anybody, any age, assuming you can get up and walk around. They are so much fun. But I wouldn't put them way up in the air to where you got to push them, hoist them way up there and take them all the way down all the time, unless you're like under 30 years old and you're ready to get out and do the clean and jerk 20 times a day and push-ups and lift weights and all that stuff. You know what I mean. So we loaded this thing like so fast, and things like, am I taking a sort of a shirt that's on hangers? Am I taking a coat that's on hangers? Be nice to have in the van an area where you can actually hang something up. Now, because this is 80/20 and it's not fully built out, it was easy to hang things on the 80/20, and I'm just telling you, it's nice, and we determined that we need a place to hang things for sure. Okay, now the next thing is, based on the nearly 3,000 miles we put on the van, and remember, this one is a 2021, it's a dual slider, which is very unusual, but it's a 2-liter turbo gas engine. And I sort of expected that we were going to run into, power challenges along the way, and even with super significant headwinds in Wyoming, as we roll out of Laramie on our way west and then north up to Jackson Hole, it did great. I mean, I think with a 50-mile-per-hour headwinds were severe. 50-mile-per-hour headwinds, we were still holding 75, 80 miles an hour. So super impressed by this 2-liter. I am planning to do the oil change, even though it's under 5,000 miles. I do the oil changes at 5,000 miles. I don't believe in any manufacturer's oil change increments. I think it's all nonsense. Engines are complex. They're metallic. You work them hard. You need to get all that metallic out of there. The oil breaks down, and I don't buy it. You take any manufacturer's suggested interval level and cut it in half, and I think that'll do you well, which is what I'm going to do. In this case, worked this engine pretty hard on the way up there and back, and I'm going to do this oil change shortly, which will be at about a 4,000 mile increment. But anyway, be that as it may, based on those 3,000 plus miles, we put in kill mat along all the panels and on the floor. We've got insulation, the Thinsulate insulation on both walls and the roof. And I also, on another video on the channel, I took the headliner off the Sprinter and put insulation in there, kill mat and insulation in there. So believe it or not, the headliner section is quiet. The rest of the back past the cab is quiet. Where there's noise is coming up from the floor where the driver and passenger side is. So there is on a Sprinter, and this year's Sprinter is a really thick sort of rubber, whole driver's cabin sort of padding in there. So I thought that was going to be plenty. But it's clear to me that there's easy work that can be done to quiet this down even further. So I'm going to put I'm going to pull all that up, and I'm going to put more kill mat down, and then put some additional padding down and try to quiet that down a bit. It's not super loud, but it's louder than I'd like it to be, and I think it's easily adjusted. It's easily mitigated, if you will. I did confirm, I think my wife and I, that the general layout of the van is going to work for us. I mean, where we got the shower planned, it's just back here. Walk out of the shower and you're going to walk sort of right into the galley. on the far side. And by the way, I put in an 80/20 overhead bin on the other side where the other slider is behind the driver's side. And that proved to be a functional space that was well used. So the configuration, I think, in total still works. It's clear that getting up into the bed, I mean, right now my wife and I were both stepping onto the water tank to get up into the bed, and which worked fine, but that's not what you should be doing. I need to build out some sort of easily deployable way to step up into the bed and get out of the bed, and so that's important. We had fantastic setup with both toilets and great showers up in Yellowstone. We stayed at Grant's campground. It's a fabulous campground. That campground, they had a gas station, they had a general store. It was perfect. But it's clear to me if you didn't have the bathroom setup that exists in that kind of a campground, you need to be self-contained. So we got to make progress here with not only the toilet, but the shower and those kinds of things to make this a much more livable, easier recreational vehicle for the future. So we're going to work on that for sure. Yellowstone is phenomenal. If you've not been there, you got to go. I put it right up on top of the list with driving Highway 1 out in California, which in my opinion is one of the most spectacular stretches of highway on the planet. Go up to Yellowstone, see Old Faithful. And by the way, we were like 3 days prior to that biscuit geyser going off that you may have heard about in the news. So it was pretty exciting. It was, Yellowstone Falls are spectacular. The elk, I saw a moose. The wildlife is just amazing up there, and the physical beauty of that landscape. I don't know why people live in Texas, frankly. Yeah, I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of shots for that, but I'm sure well deserved. But it's just unbelievable. If you have not been there, you have got to get it on your list. You got to do it before you're gone off this planet. The Tetons, Yellowstone, they are spectacular. That's it. I'm good with the configuration of the van. There's no question about it. There's some things that we learned on this trip. We got a few things that kind of went haywire on us, and I showed them to you as a bit of a breakaway video so you could see just how bad things got. And it could have been, a bit worse in the drive back to Texas. But on the whole, it was a wonderful trip. We had an absolute blast. The van did great. Gas mileage was right around, and I flogged this poor thing, but gas mileage was right around 15 miles a gallon. So, in normal around town driving circumstances, I get like 18 to 20 on this van. And I don't push it hard, but out on this trip, we had places to go and things to do. And so we had to get there. I was carrying a little bit more of a load than I normally do. So gas mileage came down a little bit, but it functioned well. And I'm really pleased with it. Came back with some really good information. Next steps for me is I've been talking about building out this shower and getting that solved, but there is no question that the Victron Multiplus, I got to get that figured out. It won't turn on for me. It's a Victron Multiplus 3000. So I'm going to pull out my generator. I got a Honda EU 3000 generator. I'm going to hook it up, which provides stronger power than the house, because every time I plug this van into the house, it trips my circuits in the house, and so it's useless to me. Anyway, I'm going to get that generator plugged in, and I got to get that solved. I don't know if I've got a Victron multiplex problem, but it's a real issue of finishing out this build if you've got major components that are just not working. So that's it, man. I'm going to show you a couple of things in future videos that are related to this video that are connected to the rear bike rack and the diesel heater, right? Those things are going to get fixed and solved. So I'll show you those in upcoming videos, and then we'll continue with the build out. Thanks for being with me. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe, and there will be more van build videos to come. Be good. See you soon. Bye-bye.